Don't burn out, don't procrastinate, don't go in with the highest of expectations, and my credentials are getting predicted 42 out of 42 in my first year. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Adora Yin, and today I'm going to be talking about the things that I wish I knew before starting my IB journey. So currently I am on summer break, just finished my first year of the IB, and I'm going into my second IB year in August, but I wanted to make this video as somebody who just experienced the first year of the IB, and I wanted to share some tips in this video for you guys who are starting your IB journey, since it's definitely like kind of different and kind of daunting at the start. So I just wanted to clear some of those things up and yeah, just share with you guys the things I did that led to success in my first year, and my credentials are getting predicted 42 out of 42 in my first year. So I will say what you're about to hear is going to be valuable. Okay, first things first, you want to start the school year organized. So the system that worked for me for a long time, which I started in my IGCSE years and carried into my IB years, is keeping a separate Google Drive folder for each subject. So obviously, as you know, in the IB, you're going to have 6 subjects, and you should keep diligently updating those subject folders throughout the school year. So that would be your notes, like course materials, the syllabus stuff, as well as like teacher stuff and assignments and all that. And this will really help you keep everything organized and keep it all compiled in one place for when you need it, because you never know when you're going to need something. And along with this, what you can do before you start the school year is to download the syllabus for that subject and upload it to that specific subject folder. And I find this extremely helpful because you know what you're getting yourself into at the start of the school year, and you can also read through that entire document, which is going to be really long, but you can read through it to like get a vibe of like what's going to be upcoming, what's expected of you, what they're trying to test you on, the things you're going to know, like the learning objectives and all that. I will say the syllabus outlines in the IB are not as specific as the ones for our Cambridge IGCSE, which if you didn't know, I did the IGCSE system before this. I know different schools do different things. If you're coming in from the MYP system, I'm guessing they sort of have something that's kind of similar, but yeah, I'm not too clear on that. But I will say for the IB, just look through the syllabus and familiarize yourself with all of that. And one other key thing is to make sure that you download the correct syllabus. So one trouble that I had while doing this is that it wasn't very organized on the IBO website, to be honest. So because those syllabuses, they update every few years and stuff, you have to make sure that you're downloading the right one, because you don't want to be going down the wrong path and only realize like midway through. So definitely check carefully that you're downloading the most updated one, because another thing is that for IGCSEs, I'm pretty sure the subject syllabuses, they all updated at the same year. So like for every few years, every single subject in IGCSE would update. However, it's slightly different for the IB, which is why you have to do your research and make sure you get the most updated one and the most accurate one. Sometimes it's like not listed extremely clearly on the website, and you just have to search it on Google and find the one that's the most updated and actually from the IB. And the next thing about getting organized is figuring out your system. So what I did is I used a color coding system for my 6 different subjects, and I would bring those folders to school every time I had that class. So this way it just kept it really organized, and it just made sense in my head because I associate a subject with a color. Similarly, in Google Drive, you can like color your folders as well. So I would just make the color of my Google Drive folder the same as my in real life subject folder. I know this is like a little bit pedantic, but you can copy that if you're somebody who likes that kind of stuff. And another thing is figuring out how you want to do your notes at the start of the year. So going into the IB, I would say that you should be clear on the methods that you want to be taking your notes, because sometimes like digital notes work better for other people, while like physical notes work better for the other people. But I would say just figure out the system that you want to do. I will say though, every single teacher has like kind of different expectations on how they want their students to be making their notes, and they might like stress this at the start of the class. For example, I know of some teachers that really don't like having technology out in class because it's like distracting and all that. So in that case, you probably should not be bringing in your iPad to take notes in class, because you don't want to be like pissing your teacher off. So yeah, for those subjects at the start of the school year, you're just gonna have to switch to paper notes and figure that out. But for whatever system of notes that you are using, make sure that you keep that consistent. It is a 2-year journey, so you have to just keep regularly updating it. And yeah, okay, my second point is to keep making and reviewing your notes throughout the school year. Now, I cannot stress this enough because once I got into the IB, I realized it was so much more different from the IGCSEs, and there was definitely a lot more pressure. Like the subject content, it was a lot harder than IGCSEs. Like honestly, the IGCSE stuff, like it seems like baby steps compared to what we do in class now. So that's why I say it's a lot more important to keep on constantly updating those when you're in the IB, because you don't want to be like midway through the course and then realize you're so behind on everything and you like kind of forgot everything as well. So yeah, keep doing those notes. And the best thing you can do is to update your notes after each class, each day. Like sometimes you can't always do that, so you could like push it to the weekend or something, but the key thing is just to keep on updating it at regular intervals. And yeah, this will just help you not cram in the long run. It will also help you as you take your regular unit test, because I'm pretty sure every school is going to do regular unit tests that kind of like train you in the IB style of questions. And yeah, just to add on to that, you are going to be receiving your predicted grade at the end of your first IB school year. So all of those little unit tests and all of those, like, you know, your class participation and stuff, that all matters. So make sure that you're acting right at the start of the school year, from the start of the school year, because those predicted grades are going to be really important when it comes to applications and stuff, since the universities are going to be seeing your predicted grades, because your final IB grades in your second year are obviously not going to come out before you apply for universities, because you just have not taken them yet. So with those predicted grades, you're going to be applying to universities with those, and that's how they kind of get an idea of it. It's similar to GPA and like American school systems, and there is also like a conversion between IB scores and GPAs, and that's why I stress keeping up to standard throughout your school year. Like, don't just casually flunk a test because you think it doesn't matter, but like in the long run, it kind of does matter, not just for your teacher and like your teacher's perception of you, but also for yourself, because you want that like spaced repetition throughout the school years to, you know, keep and retain that information in your brain, and it'll be super helpful in your final exams. Okay, and then the next thing, my third point, is to always ask questions. Because as I said before, the IGCSE material or whatever course you did before the IB, it's probably a lot easier than what the IB is. I will say the IB starts off easy. Like most subjects start off easy with like the basics and like the introduction to stuff, but usually teachers will go over that really quickly. Like they will skip over stuff that you may have already learned. And the pace is going to be faster as well, because they're trying to cram in more information, and you are almost certainly going to encounter things that you don't understand. I don't think anyone has been able to like perfectly understand every single thing just like amazingly, like a first try, you know? Like I can't do that either. So I found that asking a teacher's questions whenever anything confusing pops up is essential. And I even have a statistic on my iPad to back this up, but I read that retention rates from just like listening to a lesson and not participating, that can be as low as 5%. Or probably even lower. However, if you're actively participating in class discussions and whatnot, your retention rate will be more than 50% apparently. And now that still kind of sounds a little bit low, but it's 10 times more than 5%. So yeah, take that, and that will obviously help you a lot. And you know, you can do all those like extra tricks and like study techniques and stuff to like help you increase your retention. And eventually by the time you take your final exams, you will be at 150% of your knowledge. And also, do not be afraid of asking seemingly stupid questions. Like at the start, I was probably kind of apprehensive as well about asking questions because I didn't want people to think I was stupid, but ultimately, like, it's gonna help your brain understand the material better and form those connections in your head better once you ask those questions and make it clear in your head. And also, like, you never know, somebody else probably also has the same question. Like, a lot of the times when other students in my class have asked questions, it also helped clarify stuff in my brain. So, you know, you're also helping your friends out and everyone out on their learning journey. And with that, I just wanted to add that you do not necessarily need to find a tutor before starting the IB. I have went like my entire school years without getting a tutor ever. because there's just so many online resources that you can use, YouTube videos, just like online websites and stuff that clarify stuff, as well as you can ask AI to help you explain stuff better. So yeah, that's why I don't think that getting a tutor is completely necessary and like wasting a lot of money on getting a tutor. But obviously if you think your teacher is like not giving you the explanations that you need, or if you're just really struggling in a class, then yeah, get a tutor if you really need it, and that's like your last resort. But yeah, I would just like to affirm everybody that you can get really good grades without ever needing a tutor. Okay, that's for all my subject related stuff, but then my next few sections that I wrote down in my notes that I wanted to talk about are the additional things that are introduced to you as part of the IB diploma. So like the EE, TOK, CAS, that kind of stuff. I wanted to talk about all that and clear some things up about all of that. So first, I'm going to be starting off with the extended essay, aka the EE, the dreaded EE. So if you don't know what that is, it is basically just a 4,000 word essay, and you formulate a research question and a methodology at the start, and you basically spend quite some time researching it and writing up essentially a research paper on that subject that is around 4,000 words. Now, I will say if you're the type of person who wants to do like a bit of thinking and planning and stuff before the school year starts, you could like potentially brainstorm some EE ideas, or at least just be like somewhat clear on what subject that you want to do it on, because you can choose any subject that you want to do your EE on. You can choose any singular subject, or you can do a combination of two subjects, which is called a world studies EE. Personally, I just did it on one subject because I found it easier. But if you do a world studies EE, most people do economics combined with a science subject, for example, economics and biology, that kind of stuff. But I will say that there is quite some difficulty with choosing those kinds of world studies combination EEs, because you have to find a way to equally talk about both subjects in enough depth to get all the points. So that's why I personally found it easier to just do a single subject EE. Also, for science-based EEs and stuff, one trouble is that you have to collect your own raw data, which could be really time consuming, and with the IB, a lot of things are going to get stacked at you at once, so you might not have time to do that. So basically just like evaluate all your choices and choose something that you are genuinely passionate about and interested in, but also something that you are confident that you can secure that good grade in. And most people usually pick one of their HL subjects as their EE topic. So yeah, that might be an easier approach if it's something you're also interested in. And another point is that you have to be very diligent about keeping to the deadlines. Your EE coordinator at your school should be providing like these grade-wide deadlines for you guys, and you, throughout the school year, even when it gets busy, you should try your best to stick to them. And this is coming from experience. Like, you don't want to have everything just like stacked up and be cramming everything at the end, because I'm just gonna tell you, like, that's not gonna end up with a good quality EE. Like, I feel like the best EEs, it takes a lot of thinking and like thorough revising and stuff. Like, I have amended my EE so many times, like I have changed so many things, and if I did it all in one night, I would not have the opportunity to do that, obviously. So that's why I say stick to your deadlines. And with that, another note that I wanted to make is that you should not think that you can just rely on AI and ChatGPT. That is not going to work out. That is not going to work, okay? There are so many problems with writing your entire EE with AI that I don't even want to get into right now, but just to warn you guys, there is an AI detector and also like plagiarism checkers and all that from like the IBO that they're gonna run your extended essay on. So yeah, keep that in mind before you think that you can just cram your entire EE by relying on AI. Also, a lot of the stuff that AI produces, it is not that good quality. Like, if you really think about it, if you really break down all the things that AI is writing, a lot of it is fluff. And the IB does not want that, okay? Like, even if it passes an AI detector, you can still tell that a lot of the stuff is fluff. For the way I wrote my EE, I just kind of like brain dumped everything, and it ended up being way over 4,000 words, and I had to cut down information, and in the end, every single sentence should be contributing something different, like elaborating on something different to contribute to your overall research topic. And I say that because I noticed that with like answers or essays that AI generates, a lot of the sentences are just kind of talking about the same thing but with more fancier words, so it just tricks you into thinking that it's like better than it actually is, but in reality it is not. Like if you really like think about it, okay, next time you get AI to generate something for you, think about what it's actually saying. Like think about what each sentence is contributing to your overall meaning. Like, and you'll realize that AI has so many flaws, so do not rely on AI. And this also goes for the other coursework. Everything is checked through an AI detector. You can obviously use AI and other technologies to help you like think about ideas and stuff, or think about different approaches and methods that you can use. Or you could also use it to like get feedback on what you wrote, or like correct grammar mistakes and stuff like that. But just for like writing the entire thing, don't use AI. Okay, I feel like I stressed that enough, so now I'm going to be talking about the lovely TOK, theory of knowledge. Now, this is a completely new subject. I don't think any curriculum that you do before the IB has something like TOK. Like that was the first time I've done a subject like TOK. And if you don't know what theory of knowledge is about, it's kind of like philosophy. Like that's the best way I can explain it, but it's not exactly like fully philosophy, but it's like with a philosophical lens. So basically it's just asking questions like, how do we know what we know? Why do we know what we know? Like how do we verify that what we know is correct? Just stuff like that, okay? And then it focuses on different areas of knowledge. So how we know what we know in like the arts, the sciences, the mathematics, the humanities, like just like that kind of stuff. And the final product of your TOK course is gonna be one TOK essay and one TOK exhibition. My school hasn't started the TOK essay yet, so I'm not gonna talk too much about that because I don't really know what I'm talking about, but I have finished my TOK exhibition, and basically you just like pick 3 subjects that are relevant to a prompt, and you have to explain it in relevance to like TOK language as well. And personally, TOK is like, it's not my favorite thing, okay? I am not the biggest fan, and I will proudly say that because I don't think anybody is the biggest fan of TOK. I guess like one contributing factor to that is the fact that in my last school year on my timetable, TOK was on a freaking Thursday afternoon. After a full day of courses, I had no freeze throughout that entire day, or at least like our entire grade had no freeze throughout the day. So basically everybody dreaded TOK. I'm sure some people like TOK, but you know, that's not me. But like, you know, we still have to live with it. It is interesting at times, like don't get me wrong, like don't go into it with like a bitter taste just because this girl on the internet said that it was boring. There are definitely areas where it can be interesting, but it's just like, it's just a way that we have to learn it. It's like not the most fascinating to me, but I'm not gonna like dog on TOK that much. But yeah, I'll just say like some parts you might find interesting, like if it's like relevant to a subject that you're really passionate about, then it'll obviously be like interesting to you. Just like don't go in with the highest of expectations, and like I'm just giving you guys like a fair warning beforehand. Okay, but anyway, even though it is not my favorite subject, I wrote down like one of my tips for TOK, and that is following your TOK textbook. Now, that obviously it sounds like it should go without saying, but I just wanted to stress this because I feel like in philosophy, or like just like generally like thinking about life and like knowledge and that kind of stuff, there are so many ways of going about it. Like every philosopher has like their different set of ideals. That's why you should be following your TOK textbook, because that is the way the IB is gonna like it, okay? And ultimately they're gonna be the ones reading your work and your final essays and stuff. So you should probably write in a way that resonates with your textbook and resonates with the IB's style and the IB's theory of knowledge, you know what I mean? And my other point is that you'll find in your TOK textbook that a lot of things are listed out very simply. Like it's kind of straightforward. Like some of these things, it's just like, why are we even learning this? Like, shouldn't this go without saying? Like, shouldn't everybody know this? Like, isn't this common sense? But like, I feel like articulating that in a way that makes sense and everything, I guess that's like the art of TOK. That's where the beauty of TOK is. So I think recognizing that early on is an important thing that you guys should be doing. Okay, and if you guys don't know, the EE and TOK are part of the IB's core. So like in addition to your 6 subjects, you'll have the EE and TOK. And then these are gonna make up the additional 3 core marks. So since the IB is out of 45, you have 6 subjects out of 7 marks, and the remaining 3 points are a combination of the grades that you get on theory of knowledge and the EE. And TOK and the EE, they are marked in like a letter grade scale, so it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, you know. And then there's like a specific grade calculation. I'll put like a screenshot here of how they calculate it. But basically, if you get 1A and 1B in E and TOK, doesn't matter which, you'll get those 3 core marks to make up your 45 score, because I know that that is coming for you. Anyways, moving on, the next part of the IB's core is CAS, which stands for creativity, activity, and service. This is another part of the core curriculum bit, but it's not graded. Like, it's just a requirement. It's just that you have to like fulfill the requirement to get your diploma. Like, you just have to do it, but like you don't have to like spend excessive effort on it. But just for a basic introduction, creativity should be stuff like arts or anything that has like creative thinking like that. Activity is something that requires physical exertion. Like, you can choose sport, yoga, like stuff like that. And then service is just any unpaid volunteering that you do. And basically how the CAS program works is that you need to be having a range of these activities that you are continuously working on throughout your IB 2 years. Okay, I don't even exactly remember what mine are, but you just have to have like a range of stuff for each of these strands. But yeah, I think every school has like different requirements on their CAS program, so I'm sure your school is gonna have like an introductory session where they clarify everything at the start of the school year and introduce you guys to it and like get you guys started on it, so don't stress too much about it. But yeah, basically they just have to be ongoing things, and it just has to like show initiative, and it has to like show that you're like committed to stuff, and you know that you can like collaborate with people and problem solve and stuff like that. So that is why they have it. And another part of CAS is having your CAS project. Now, the CAS project, it could literally be anything. Like, it could be like starting a like doing something in school with your friends. Like, you can make it fun. Like, you just like try your best to make it enjoyable for yourself, and you can pick anything, and all you have to do is like have it be like a longer, like bigger scaled project, and you just have to like write reflections and stuff about it. So yeah, like basically a really important part of the CAS program is like obviously fulfilling all those requirements, but also knowing how to reflect on stuff. Like, it really helps you like become more reflective and become more of an introspective person, you know what I mean? And there's also going to be regular-ish, I think 3 or something. There's gonna be like, okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's gonna be 3 CAS interviews. But yeah, these are just really chill. Like, you just meet with your CAS supervisor, which your CAS coordinator at school is going to assign you, and then you just like talk about like your reflections and your projects and stuff like that. So yeah, with all that, like, I just have to say that CAS is really, it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. Like, at the end of the day, it's just a requirement. You're not getting graded on it like the other stuff. Obviously, it's like very important to, you know, keep up to date with your reflections and stuff like that, but like at the end of the day, because it is just a requirement, you don't have to be putting like all your effort into it. Like, I would say definitely focus more on all the other stuff that's actually gonna earn you like all those points in the IB. But like, obviously don't fail the CAS program, because then you're just not gonna get your diploma. Like, the CAS program is there to just ensure that you're a good human being and to get you that freaking high school diploma that you need to graduate. And finally, my last bit is about the IAs, or internal assessments. So every single subject is going to have one IA, and this is going to make up part of your score for that subject, along with the final exams and the final papers. And they're all like weighted like 30% of your final grade, like something like that. And it's basically just like a few months long project, usually for most subjects, and it's kind of also like a research thing as well. However, for the language subjects, so for English as well as your chosen second language, is going to be an IO, which is an oral, which is going to be a presentation for your English IO, or just like a speaking exercise if you're choosing a language B. And yeah, with the IAs, because every single subject, and also like it varies between schools as well, but every single subject teacher is going to have a different timeline for doing the IAs. For example, this year, okay, I've already completed my final English IO. I've started my compsci IA as well as my physics IA, and also my math IA, as well as my anthro IA, but we have not started the German IO yet, which I'm doing in the next school year. So yeah, basically all the timelines are going to be different, and the way you work through the IA is also going to be different, because there's different criteria criteria that make up that IA. So every teacher is going to work through it a little bit differently, and it's going to be done differently within schools. So usually the teacher will clarify at the start of the year when that process begins for you guys. But if they don't, you could just ask, and then they could like elaborate on it, so you can just like get an idea of the timeline and like what things you're gonna have ongoing at like a certain period. And also sometimes like teachers get you to work on those IAs over the summer, which is like me right now. And yeah, you just can like get a feel of when you have to do what you need to do. But obviously my tip for that is to just not procrastinate. Like as soon as your teacher announces it, you should start formulating your ideas and figuring out what you want to do. There are tons of examples online that you can find as well, so don't worry too much. And yeah, just like focus on listening to your teacher, following their deadlines, being a good student and all that, and you should be good. And most of the time, I think just like with enough effort and with your work being of a high enough quality, you should be able to get the highest band of marks. Yeah, obviously there's gonna be caveats to that, but like as long as you try hard, you should be getting those marks. Okay. And I think that is all I have to say for my IB tips. I realized that at the start of the video, I forgot to say what IB subjects I take, but if you're curious, for higher level, I take Math AA, Physics, and Computer Science. And then for standard level, I take English Literature, German B, as well as Social and Cultural Anthropology. So yeah, that is me. And all those tips are also what worked for me, and you can take what you want and leave what you don't want, but I will say that all my tips are equally valuable. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed listening to me talking, and I hope that clarified a lot of stuff for you guys. And I wish you guys the best of luck as you start your IB 2-year journey. It is a 2-year marathon. Don't burn out, don't procrastinate. Yeah, be a good student. And yeah, that is all I have to say. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. I will continue making like study videos, productivity videos, lifestyle videos, just like stuff like that. And also, make sure to leave a like on this video if it helped you in any way. I would really appreciate it. Send it to a friend if you think it's gonna help them. Also leave a comment if there's anything else you want to see from me, or if there's any questions that you might have. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!